Hello and welcome. In the previous in the previous video, I asked you to read over example 5 and example 6 and try working on them on your own before watching this video. Hopefully you have done that. Example 5 asks you to classify the variable being studied in each of the following examples as either categorical or qualitative or numerical or quantitative. If the variable is numerical, then classify it as either discrete or continuous. These are pretty straightforward. I will let you know which questions or examples students tend to have some concerns about in my face-to-face classes. Um, Number one, number of gallons used per week. Most students make a mistake on this one. I think mostly because it's just the first example and they're not necessarily used to having to distinguish between continuous and discrete. If you own a car and you pump your own gas, you know that your gas bill is charged by the number of gallons, which is the result of a measurement process. Hair color would be categorical, unless, of course, you're talking about hair dye color, in which case that could be some other type. Number of followers on Twitter would be numerical and discrete because it is counted. You cannot have half of a follower on Twitter. Type of vehicle your family owns would be categorical. The number of inches of snowfall in a given month would be numerical continuous because you'd have to measure the amount of snowfall. You could have 3 5/8 of an inch. You could have 6.5 inches. It can take on an infinite number of values. The thickness of a vitamin tablet, there we go, is also continuous because it is measured. Number 7 tends to give students a little bit of a pause. If we were talking about the shoe size, we were talking about numerical discrete variables. If we were talking about foot size, where we would measure someone's foot, then yes, we could talk about it as being continuous. But if we're talking about a shoe size, there's only a limited number of shoe sizes that a person can walk into a store and purchase, whether it be 7, 7.5, 7 wide, 7.5 extra wide. There's only a limited number of sizes. A person's phone number would be categorical. I believe we talked about that or similar examples prior to this. It'd be similar to like a zip code or a social security number. The number of songs in a playlist would be numerical discrete, and the number of credits a student is taken is also numerical discrete. I also asked you to read over example 6. Example 6 says to read through the abstract from the National Library of Medicine website and answer the following questions. If you have not read through this example yet, please pause the screen and read through it on your own sheet now. I have already gone ahead and highlighted some of the answers that we're looking for. Question A is looking for the relationship between IQ test scores and alcohol consumptions. Question B is asking for the population and the sample. The population is assumed to be all adolescents aged 18 to 21, and I put in parentheses here, worldwide. The sample might be from Swedish men who were recruited into the military, but the population would be all 18 to 21-year-olds from around the world. The sample would be 49,321 Swedish males born from 1949 to 1951 who were conscripted for military service from 1969 to 1970. You'll notice that a lot of this question is just going to come from reading comprehension of the example given above, where we can basically pull most of these questions verbatim right from the text of the study that we're reading the abstract from. What were the descriptive statistics? Well, this is anything that is described in the study. In this case, it's the alcohol consumption, the age, the date born, the socioeconomic status, the psychiatric symptoms, and emotional stability, IQ scores, and gender. And lastly, what are the conclusions of the study? Well, the conclusions state that lower IQ tests are associated with higher consumption of alcohol, and you'll notice that it does not make any assumptions or claims about cause and effect. It does not say that alcohol consumption will lower your IQ score or that lower IQ score people will tend to drink more. And they're just saying that there's an association between the two. And in this module, we're talking about sampling and how to pull a sample. So I wanted to show an example of using a random number generator to try to fill in data for example 7. It says, before we complete this example, please write down the average amount of sleep you had for the following week. Now, I left this question vague on purpose. In my face-to-face classes, I actually go around the room and I'll use the attendance roster and a random number generator to select students at random to fill in this table that has the number of hours of sleep. Now, this question asks for the average amount of sleep you had the following week. And I think I made a mistake here when I made the table and I wrote hours of sleep last night. I meant to say last week. And you'll notice that this question, because it's so confusing, left us with a number of different values here. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and we'll talk about this in the 4th video, which is the last video of Module 1, which will be misuses of statistics and biases. Questions that are vague can and tend to lead to erroneous results in our data. If I were to leave this question vague, you'll see that some students have answered this question with numbers that would be for their weekly total, and some students may have just answered the night before's total. So depending on how we answer this question and what we're expecting from our sample, we could end up with some values that would be kind of out of the realm of what we'd expect. The reason why I like this example is because, not because I actually want to know how many hours of sleep you got last night, but because I wanted to talk about the discrepancies that can appear when we're using vague or unclear questions. And I also just wanted to show how to use a random number generator. At this point, I'm going to remind you, we are supposed to be using technology for a number of different applications in this course. So I am going to use the TI-84, the Texas Instruments 84, to show how to use a random number generator. And then I will show how to use the random number generator in Geogebra. So here is my TI-84. You all hopefully have something similar. There is some information about the graphing calculators that are allowed for the course on Brightspace. The Texas Instruments TI-84 is one of them. The Casio FX CG50 is a second option, and Geogebra is a third option. We can talk more about that if you have any questions during office hours or some other time. But for right now, let me just show you how to use this. First, we would turn this on. We can select Math. We will go to Probability, PRB, and we'll select number 5. This will be a random integer. Random integer. And then we just need to tell the calculator what is the first and what is the last value. Now, these made-up names are coming from some made-up course roster. I excluded the last names here just because A, they were made up and I didn't feel like making up first and last names. But B, because I wanted to show you that it doesn't matter if these are alphabetical or not. We could assume that this attendance roster is alphabetical by last name, but that I've removed the last name. The randomness does not come from the alphabetization of the names. It comes from the random number generator. So in this class, we assume we have 15 students numbered 1 to 15. It doesn't matter if they are alphabetical or not. We want to choose a random integer with 1 being the smallest, 15 being the largest, and we will press enter, and that will give us number 5. We would go to our attendance roster, we would choose student number 5, which is Noah, and we would write 61. Then we would go to the same function in our calculator, number 2, which would be Sophia, and she had 27. And we would keep selecting random numbers using our random number generator. 1, which would be Liam, 40, 11, which would be Caleb, 68. Number 1 again, if this was the case, we would skip number 1 because we've already taken the data for Liam. We would go on to number 7, which would be Lucas, and we can collect all of our data in this fashion. And here's how we could use a random number generator in GeoGebra. On Brightspace, there is a module called Geogebra Links, and in that Geogebra Links, you can download the GeoGebra app for your Windows or Mac device, or you can download it for your Android or iOS device if you're talking about a cell phone. GeoGebra is a pretty powerful tool that is free. There's nothing wrong with it. I just wanted to show both of these. So we can type in random between, and then our lower value is 1, our upper value is 15, and we can press enter. We'll get number 13. Number 13 is Jackson. If we press enter again, click on the answer box and hit enter, we get 5, which is Noah. Press it again, we get 7, which is Lucas. Click and hit enter, 4, which is Ava, and so on and so forth. Oh, we got 4 again. Again, if we repeat one, we can skip it. Number 1 would be Liam, so on and so forth. All right, so here is how we can talk about these examples and use random number generators to help us select a good survey or a good sample that would be random and representative. In the last video of Module 1, we'll talk about misuses of statistics.